Alex, I spent 45 minutes this morning looking for my favorite marking gauge. 45 minutes. In a shop the size of a standard one-car garage, that shouldn't even be mathematically possible. It's like the wood swallowed it.
Maybe the shop is finally staging a rebellion. Or, and hear me out, it's because your organization system is basically just various piles of things you might need someday.
It's a curated collection of potential. But seriously, it hit me today. Usually when I'm out here, I'm not actually building anything. I'm just moving one heavy thing so I can get to the smaller heavy thing hidden behind it. It's like a sliding tile puzzle, except the tiles weigh 80 pounds and they're covered in sawdust.
Well, that is the reality for most of us, right? We aren't all blessed with 20,000 square foot hangars. But you've mentioned before that a shop should be like a miniature factory. That sounds a little cold for a craft space, doesn't it?
Not cold, just intentional. Think about a factory. They don't put the door handles on the opposite side of the building from the doors. They reduce unnecessary motion. In the shop, if I have to walk 12 steps across the floor to get a fresh glue bottle, that's 12 steps where I'm not focused on the miter joint that's drying too fast. Every step is an opportunity to forget what I was doing or trip over a cord.
Okay, so if we're talking about shop greatness, as the internet likes to call it, where do we actually start? Because my workflow currently involves clearing a space on the bench just large enough for a sandwich, then realizing I left the mustard in the house.
Well, nutrition is part of the process, but really the biggest bottleneck for most makers is the glue up. It's the highest stress part of any project. The clock is ticking, the glue is setting, and that's always when you realize your clamps are buried under a pile of offcuts or your damp rag is actually a greasy old t-shirt.
So you're saying we should organize by task rather than by tool type?
Exactly. I recently saw a setup where someone took all their glue up supplies, brushes, the fast cap glue bots, CA glue, even those little heart-shaped straws for cleaning out squeeze out in corners, and put them in one dedicated caddy, a glue station. Now, when it's time to assemble, you don't hunt. You just grab the caddy and you're the captain of that ship.
I like that. It's like a go bag, but for woodworkers. But let's talk about the big stuff. Power tools. They come in those bulky plastic cases, sustainers, TSTAKs, whatever. They're great for protection, but they're the absolute worst for workflow because the tool you need is always at the bottom of the stack.
Stacking is the enemy of progress. It's a physical manifestation of procrastination. You see that stack of 5 boxes and you think, I could use the track saw, but do I really want to unearth it? And then you try to make an inferior cut with a handsaw just to avoid the hassle.
So what's the cure? I've seen those Syscarts people build. Are those worth the floor space?
If you've got a 3D printer or some plywood scraps, they're a game changer. The trick isn't just a cart that rolls, it's the pull-out drawers. Whether you use those fancy full extension slides or just 3D printed rails that let the box slide out far enough to pop the lid, being able to access the third box down without moving the top two is, well, it feels like living in the future.
So we're getting tools off the floor and into drawers. But what about the miniature factory layout? If I'm setting up a shop today, what's the one mistake that's going to make me want to burn the whole place down in 6 months?
Ignoring the infeed and outfeed. People get so excited to buy a table saw or a planer that they tuck it into a corner or put a bench right behind it. Then they try to rip an 8-foot board and whack, they hit the wall. You have to leave runways for your lumber. If you can't feed a board through without a 3-point turn, your layout is fighting you.
I've seen you do that 3-point turn with a piece of walnut. It wasn't graceful.
I looked like a guy trying to parallel park a semi-truck in a bike lane. Lesson learned. Now, everything in my shop is on high-quality casters. If it's heavy and it doesn't move, it's an obstacle. Mobile workbenches are the only way to survive a small shop.
Speaking of survival, let's talk safety and organization. I'm guilty of this. My safety glasses usually live in a drawer under a pile of sandpaper. By the time I find them, I've already made the quick cut I was avoiding.
That's how you end up with a shop souvenir in your eye.
Exactly. So where does the PPE go?
It sounds boring, but the best place for safety gear is right at eye level, near the door, or the most dangerous tool. If you have to go looking for your respirator, you won't use it. I built a little safety station right next to my miter saw, goggles, ear protection, and masks right there. It makes the right choice, the easiest choice.
It's basically habit stacking for craftsmen. Make the tool easy to find, and you'll use it. Make the safety gear easy to find, and you'll stay in one piece.
You've got it. And don't be afraid to let your shop evolve. I used to think my layout was set in stone, but then I started doing more metalwork, and suddenly my woodworking bench was covered in grinding dust. That's a disaster waiting to happen. Tool storage isn't a one and done project. It's a conversation you're having with your space.
A conversation where the space usually yells at you for being messy.
Precisely. But there's a real satisfaction in finally finding a home for that one tool that's been floating around for a year. It's like the shop finally lets out a breath it's been holding.
So, for the person listening who is currently staring at a mountain of tools on a folding card table, what's the first move?
Pick the task you do most often: milling, gluing, or sanding. Gather every single thing you need for that one task. Find a way to keep those items together in one spot, whether it's a caddy, a drawer, or a wall rack. Stop organizing by what the tool is and start organizing by when you use it.
I like that. The why of the workflow.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, shop greatness isn't about having the cleanest floor. It's about how little time you spend looking for a wrench and how much time you spend actually making things.
Well, I'm going home to build a sandwich making caddy, reducing unnecessary motion from the kitchen to the couch.
Now that's a workflow I can get behind. Just make sure the mustard is within reach.